So I'm going to be going through a presentation, and this presentation I'm actually going to be sharing afterwards. So when you get the video recording of this session, you'll actually also get my PowerPoint slides. So if you want to take notes, great. If not, you'll get exactly what I'm showing you on the screen and a little bit more. But I wanted to start just by giving you a little bit of my credentials. I know that you probably saw my bio and that's all great, but to hear it from somebody's voice, that's all part of networking and building connections and relationships. I just want to start there. So as I said, I started my career in New York City. I was there for over 10 years. I was there during 9/11, 2008, all of these wonderful market circumstances that have happened to the country and really worked through them. And then I made a career transition into the Atlanta market in 2010 and literally rebuilt my career. I think that part of that story for me really resonates with a lot of people that I work with and the presentations that I give, because I come from that understanding as a candidate, not just a coach that's been coaching for years without any relevant market experience or having had to put these approaches to practice. So I'm really excited to be able to go through this. I do want to tell you that if you have questions during the presentation, I'm happy to answer them if I see them pop up. If I can, I'll wait till the end and answer a whole lot of other questions that might not be relevant to necessarily the point I'm making on that slide. But I am definitely here as a resource. I love doing these presentations and workshops to be that resource. And I'm going to get started with slides and we'll go from there. Okay, give me 2 seconds. All righty. Okay, so the steps to better networking. So this is a good starting point for everyone, is why do we network? You know, we hear this word all the time. Oh, you have to network more. You have to, get out there. And I work with a lot of clients, global clientele. So I have European clients. I have people in Australia and India, in North America, South America. And networking is a huge piece to being able to find roles and also just grow your connection base. And so I want to start here by saying these are the 3 things that I see the most in why we're networking. So we're looking for a job, we're looking for an internship, we're creating industry relationships. And so creating industry relationships, what does that mean to me? It means that even if you have a job, even if you have an internship, even if you are still in college and preparing, we're always in need of connections because we never know what's going to happen. And what I look at right now with COVID-19 is that in March, when everything kind of blew up in everyone's faces, we started seeing furloughs take a record high. We've started seeing people lose their jobs. And people that have not networked are going to lose out because you have no connections to tap. Okay. So that's the looking for the job piece. But before you are looking, you should be creating that robust network of individuals that may not even be in your industry. And then additionally, because we are marketing professionals here on this call, is connecting with potential clients. So I have a lot of industry professionals in marketing. I'm based out of Atlanta. We have a ton of agencies, not as many as New York, but it is growing. So we have agencies, we have some really big brands. We've got Coca-Cola, we've got Delta. And so I work with these marketing professionals, and a lot of them, especially during this COVID-19 period, have had to look for that freelance work. So being understanding of the market is going to help you with your networking approach and why you're doing it in the first place. Okay, so then we're going to focus on our messaging. So know your target. So what am I looking for? Who can I learn from? How do I add value? So these are the 3 questions that if I was coaching you on one-on-one, I want you to think about. So what am I looking for? A lot of people go to market and they're, well, I'm looking for a marketing job. great, but what do you do in marketing? What type of job are you looking for? I just came across a graphic designer that was referred to me in my network. He's looking for specifically contract or part-time work. So understanding that as an employer very quickly, I know he's not looking for a full-time job. So if I don't have a full-time gig, I'm going to be more inclined to connect with him. Then who can I learn from? A lot of people don't take advantage of that networking piece to either find a mentor, find somebody that they can follow that gives the advice that they're looking for in the industry that they're looking for, in the market that they're looking for. And so I want everybody on the call, when they leave this call, to think through that question a lot more. Who can I learn from? Because if we're filling our feed, say on LinkedIn, with those key components every day, we're going to be more on top of what's happening in our market, what's happening in the world, and be able to pivot accordingly. And then the last, which is normally the first thing I want you to think about, is how do I add value? So when we are networking with individuals, so I put recruiter, client, colleague, friend, when we're networking with all of these people, how do we add value to them and not just be takers? A lot of people will message and not think through from a thoughtful perspective on how they're going to open the door. And then if someone does give them something, how do they, and I hate the word to say repay, because that's not really the mentality I want you to have when you're thinking about this. I want you to think about it genuinely as, I want to provide value so that it comes back into the world, kind of that 6 degrees of separation, that if I do this, this is going to impact someone else positively. And then it all works its way back around to you. So when we're messaging somebody, when we're creating our story, when we're going through all of these things, I want you to know that it needs to be specific. So know your ask. So when you go to market, what I put is it's okay to ask for something, but make it concise. Additionally, don't forget to add value to the recipient. So what does that really mean? This means for you that when you're crafting your message, when you're trying to get a hold of, whether it's an executive, whether it's a recruiter, even your friends, don't overload them with information. Also, the key thing, and I'm hoping that a lot of you were able to attend the branding sessions within the AMA New York series. But if you didn't, I just wanted to touch on this a little bit, is before you ever go to market and start networking and building your connection base, you always have to understand your brand. So your brand being your personal story, your professional story, what is it that you're bringing to market? And so this will lead you to know your ask. The knowing your ask is a pivotal point where I've had, and I'm going to give you a scenario. So I am the COO of a nonprofit as well as CEO of my own for-profit organization. And so I live in both worlds. So within the nonprofit world, I work with a lot of other nonprofits, whether it's partnership, whether it's, fundraising together. And I had an executive director get let go of her position because of funding issues. And she came to me. It's like, hey, Briar, I know you're in this industry. I don't know where to go. I've already tapped about 20 of my network. Well, we run in the same circle. So I know her connections, and they're CEOs of major brands. They're very invested individuals in both the Atlanta and Northeast markets. And so she has a prime arena to get connected somewhere, but she went before she knew her ask. So what she did is she went to all of these people, 20 plus connections, and just said, hey, I lost my job. I'm looking for some work. These are kind of some things that I could do. And this is the conversation she had with me, very haphazard. And I said, did you already tap everybody? She said, yes. And so now it's a course correction to be able to go back to her market, who she's already asked something very not concise of, and now position it back for them to remember her as something very specific. So we want to always understand our brand and always know our ask before we do any networking of any sort, whether it's in person after COVID or online. So these are some funny, this is going to be in here for you to read through, but I'm going to touch on it really quickly. So some networking blunders. So making the mistake of passing, you know, like all your old irrelevant details. So the funny part about this is that I hear, I'll do some coaching on, you know, how have you pitched this offer to your network, or how did you do this informal interview with them? And the key thing that I hear the most is, well, I told them I could do this. I can be, you know, a communicator. I can be a brand ambassador. I can be a digital marketer. I can do social media. I'm lost by the time you come up with those three things. I can't follow where your vision is going. So if you think about that from a perspective of someone who's really busy or networking a lot, you're not going to hit your target. You're not going to be able to give them the difference between you and other people in their network and how to position you. So I'm going to keep this slide in here for you guys for once we're done and you actually get the copy, so you can go through this and think through it a bit more. So I want to go through the approach. So when we're networking, and I'm going to talk specifically about LinkedIn today, just because that is one of the best opportunities for all of us as professionals right now. I'm in Georgia, so Georgia is an open state right now. We're the pilot program for the country, but it doesn't mean that everybody's out and about. So it is still fairly reserved, and we still need to keep social distancing 6 feet away. So a lot of people aren't congregating and being able to go to events and things like that. So for everybody else in the country, I want you to realize that even when it starts to open up, there's still going to be limitations, and there's still going to be this rework of what events actually look like. So we're going to kind of stick to LinkedIn because I think this is going to be the most leveraged for your professional presence, as well as the ability to connect with people and connect with people quickly. The beauty of the market right now is that I have never seen more people willing to connect others than right now. There are a ton of people that have lost their jobs, a ton of people coming out of college with no jobs. And I see that there is a genuine interest in being able to connect them with other people. But what does this mean for you if you are working to build your network? You have to be quick and to the point. So a long-winded 5-paragraph intro, once you connect with someone on LinkedIn, isn't going to get read. I'll tell you this, I'm going to show you examples later on in this presentation of actual messages that I get, because I get a lot. The average message count in my inbox on a daily basis is 25 plus. So I'm having to sort through that and really quickly address, is this someone I want to connect with? Is this someone that I'm actually going to reply to? So quick and to the point gets the point across to the connection that you're trying to connect with. Then friendly and patient. And the reason that I put this is that we just had a client, he's in sales. He hadn't really been leveraging LinkedIn. We gave him a little bit of coaching, gave him his profile, updated everything, and he went to market. And then he started blasting people. So not very friendly. So he introduced himself to a recruiter. He did the first section correct, like introed him, what he does. He's in a specific sales niche, so he's very concise and quick to the point. The recruiter reaches out, connects with him, and says, hey, I don't think that you have the right experience for what we're looking for right now, but I'll pass along your resume. And instead of giving a friendly and patient response, he gave a, well, tell me what's wrong with my profile because I think I have 20 plus years of experience. And they got into a long battle that I got to see online as he shared it to me so that I could coach him on how to properly address that. So I want to be very poignant with you. Friendly and patient, super, super important. And then add genuine value. Don't act like it's a sale. So I'm going to, as I said, show you some examples of people trying to sell to me, but acting like they want to be a network connection. And this is something that is a huge turnoff. As an executive of 2 organizations, I get hit up from the nonprofit end. I also get hit up from the corporate end, where people want to sell me technology, marketing services, I mean, on a daily basis. And so if someone connects with me genuinely, gives me a taste of value, I'm not going to feel like I'm just a number. Okay. Okay. So now, how do we go about creating these contacts? And so on our LinkedIn page, and I wish I had my LinkedIn up. If you guys do have LinkedIn and you can kind of follow along here and think about your profile, that would be great during this section. So the approach: start following groups, companies, people, and influencers on LinkedIn. What does this do for you? So I'm all about efficiency. I have an operations and sales background, and I like things to be super easy because there's so many other things that we need to take care of on a daily basis. So when we're following groups, we're going to look for groups. So like AMA New York, you guys can follow other AMA chapters, the national AMA, but don't stop there. If you're in digital marketing specifically, we'll follow digital marketing groups. The thing that I'll say about groups is that make sure, I typically say 1,000 members or above, it's going to be worth your time to invest and be a part of those conversations. The greatest part about groups is that you get to be a part of the conversation. You get to see what's trending. If you think about it from this perspective, I use Quora for that. So I like to respond occasionally on Quora, and I'll provide, whether it's life coaching tips or career coaching tips, or I have a lot of people that come to me asking about FIT specifically, and I've been graduated for several years, so I'm not as relevant there. However, when I can respond and see the trends of what's being spoken about, I know what's relevant in the market. I know what's on the minds of my clientele so that I can create content for them. So I want you to think about that from your value add, is if you're following groups that are specific to maybe the industry you're looking at. So maybe it's aviation, maybe it is consumer goods. Those groups are going to tell you what that conversation is leading right now. And you can add your thought leadership into those groups and find good connections. The whole point of this is to find like-minded people that you can connect with. When you find someone who's like-minded, especially in a group, they're going to be more willing to first connect with you on LinkedIn, because you can say, I am a part of this group with you, loved your comments, would love to connect. That is a genuine connection. I will accept those connections every single time. So if you find the groups I'm on and you want to connect that way, so be it. I will absolutely accept you. Then we look at the companies. So when you follow companies, so like Tesla, I love following Tesla. I like to understand what's going on there, and innovation and technology and environmental stuff. So I follow a lot of different companies, and then I understand what's trending within those industries as well. So if I have a company like Google, for instance, I have a lot of clients that apply and interview with Google. Same thing with eBay, Facebook, Amazon, all of these really large organizations. If you are looking at these companies or like-minded companies to where you want to go, say Fortune 500, whatever it might be, you're tapping into relevant information on your LinkedIn feed so that you can start seeing who's commenting like you, like their comment, and then be able to actually engage in a conversation that's genuine. This could mean a recruiter. This could mean a junior associate who might be looking for a referral fee. I'll give you a tip. So Coca-Cola is based in Atlanta. Well, Coca-Cola has an internal referral program. So if you can tap into their internal referral program, that person, if you're hired, gets paid. Amazon has a very similar process. So they have an actual referral program. You tap into the referral program, you fill out the application, and then that person gets paid. So don't be afraid to go for the lower associate level connections, because guess what? The CEO, the VP, they're not accepting a lot. I have an open profile. So most executives don't have an open profile. They keep everything hidden. You can't get in touch with them unless you know their email address. But not everybody has that blocked. So make sure that when you're looking at these connections to start engaging, that maybe they're at the company you want, maybe they're working for a company that's like another company you want to work for, and you start understanding what that landscape looks like. And then people and influencers. So this can be friends, this can be family, this can be teachers. If you have, I have a lot of, I do a Spark South is a marketing event here in Atlanta, and it's for UGA grads or soon to be graduates. And we do an all-day event, and it's amazing. We get to network in person, which it might be virtual this year. However, I see that afterwards, the students that attended the event, they're kind of networking with each other. So after the event, they're liking each other's posts, they're a part of LinkedIn, other social platforms as well. But this leverages your ability to get in front of someone else. I had a financial director last year that I was coaching who moved into a new neighborhood, befriended his neighbors, and found out that one of his neighbors was the CEO of a company that he was interested in applying to. And so he was able to have coffee, talk about the role, and gained entrance just from reaching out, knowing his story, and being able to connect. Okay, so this is what I call a power statement. So when I was saying be specific, be concise, this is an about section for someone who actually works with me for Career Organic. And I want you to, I'm going to read this out loud in case someone gets bored and does not want to read it. I want to showcase how concise and brilliant this statement is. So my overall goal in life is, whether I know someone for 5 minutes or 5 years, leave them with a lasting positive impression. My passion is people. I love meeting new people and getting to know others. Solving problems and creating more efficient ways to go about a task is what I do. I work well in groups, but I also work well independently. I enjoy bonding activities with coworkers. Social media marketing is my forte. So when I was saying be concise, if I were to ask the group right now what her forte is, what would it be? Social media marketing. That's what she's targeting. Well, I saw this profile on LinkedIn, and I want to showcase this because this is the beauty of LinkedIn and networking and positive networking. I found her profile. I was looking for a social media manager for Career Organic. I am not social media savvy, so she does an amazing job for us. However, how did I get her? I actually solicited her on LinkedIn. I looked at her about section, and every single piece of that personality that came through spoke to me and spoke to my brand, because we're all about people. We're all about growing people. We're all about team, and then owning our swim lanes. So her little section was so impactful for me as an executive to know that she was worth interviewing. I reached out to her. I interviewed about 5 different people doing this same exercise, and she got the role. So now, what not to say? So I want to be, these are really fun for me. So I'm going to read these to you and kind of go through my, how I take these. So one of the messages, the 10:43 a.m. Hello, Briar. Thank you for connecting. How are you? Did you ever think you'd see the things we're facing in our country? So this is the first personal message that I've gotten from this new connection. So what I'm thinking about is, how are you? Well, if she asked me this, I think she asked me this the week my daughter broke her arm. So the first thing that comes to me is like, I don't really want to answer you because all I can think about is my personal problems today. It's a heavy question for me. Then, did you ever think you'd see the things we're facing in our country? And I'm thinking, we have a ton of things we're facing. What are you referencing right now? And why this? This is the opener to get me to talk to you, yet you don't know me yet. So this, to me, pushes the boundary of starting a relationship. There's nothing concise about how are you? And then did you ever think you'd see the things we're facing in our country? It's very broad. She has not said, is it COVID? Is it Black Lives Matter? What's going on? Is it local to her and me in Atlanta? I have no idea, and I'm not taking the time to figure it out. So I skip that message. Then I go down to the second message, which is 11:44 p.m. I'm getting this message on my LinkedIn. Hope you're having an amazing day, Briar. Can you please help me increase my article views by liking it and sharing it with your network? Thank you so much in advance, link below. And so I think about this. What value has she given me? And that goes back to that slide where I was saying you do need to provide value. What she's doing is she's just connected with me, and now she's asking me to do something that I have no idea about. So can you please help me increase my article views? So think about that. I have no idea what the article is about. So she's expecting me to have to look at it. She's expecting me to have to listen to it and go through the entire thing for her, for my network. So I'm going to share with my network something that I'm not comfortable with yet because I don't know this person. Okay. And again, this is going to be for you guys to think about and look at because it's going to be in the notes when we send the email. So now a better intro to start a conversation. So this is another one. So Briar, I am working on expanding my connections in the real estate and professional business coach market verticals. Very specific and to the point. Excellent. I know where he lives, real estate and professional business coaching. Okay. If you're open to it, I am looking to broaden my network. Here's hoping, a little bit of personality there. In any event, I hope 2020 has started off with a positive bang for you. So the value I got from that was a positive connection piece. So he didn't have to add a lot of value to it other than being able to be concise, hit that target for me so I understand what his intention is, and I accept it as a request. This was a great message. So I do want you to understand that there's 2 points to it. Is he was very concise and to the point, and I understand where he lives. And then additionally, he brought me a little bit of personality. Okay, so then be mindful of time. Informational asks. So when you're trying to expand your network, there's informational interviews, there's coffee chats, virtual coffee chats. Now there's little phone calls. All of that can make a huge, huge difference when you're trying to connect with someone. When they hear your voice, it's a lot different than when you're typing an email, when you're typing an interaction on LinkedIn, Messenger, any of that. The big piece of this though, is that you have to be mindful of time. So for me, I love mentoring. I love working with people. I love chatting. I love giving little tips and tricks on career and life and business, but I also don't have a ton of time to give. So I have to be very mindful of my calendar. If someone comes to me saying, hey, when is the next time you can chat? Could you give me an hour? I'm going to have to tell them no. It also gives me a red flag because I'm thinking you don't understand the value of time yet. And so I want you at any level that you're at professionally right now, understand that like a better example of that is, you know, I've been following you online. I love what you're doing in the local nonprofits specific as a recent grad. So now I'm telling them where I am in my career. I'd love a few minutes of your time or 15 minutes, whatever it might be, to what? Give me the what. So like to start, to find out how you got your start. Well, that to me, that's a good little question. That could definitely be a 10 quick, minutes and get to know each other and understand what this person really needs as a recent grad. And maybe I'll be aligned to connect them elsewhere. So with all of that said, I do want to say, we have a ton of content that we push out to the market all the time. We're always looking to be able to up level what we're putting out to the market because I love being a resource. We do have all of these social channels at Career Organics, super easy to follow. And we are also, if there are any recent grads on the call today, we're actually launching a new series and program for recent grads specifically to help get that leverage, whether it's networking, interviewing, growth and development, your branding piece, all of that as an online repository, as well as a group and community coaching forum. So I'd love to hear, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hear any questions, anything that you guys want me to go back over, and I'm happy to answer. And if you want to use the chat to ask any questions, or if you'd like to unmute yourself and actually ask live, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Okay, so this is a good question. So if you ask someone for a little info session, then they don't follow up or they don't get back, should you follow up in a week or two, or assume they don't want to talk? So as one of those people that misses things in their inbox of LinkedIn, I would absolutely follow up. The follow-up needs to be courteous to, the starting point of that is, I understand your schedule is very busy and I appreciate you looking at my note. I'd love to connect whenever you'd be available for a 10 to 15 minute virtual coffee or phone call. I am available at, and give your contact information. You can also ask for specific contact information. So for me, when I'm looking at LinkedIn versus my email, LinkedIn is much harder to sort. So if you think about your inbox in LinkedIn, think about getting 25 to 30 messages on average. So more or a little less in a day. After the weekend, for me, I'm looking at 60 plus messages to go through in LinkedIn, and that sorting function is not tip top yet. So you're literally going line by line by line by line. I might miss one by, I might get a phone call from my team. I might have a client coaching session that I need to hop on, and I might miss you. And then days go by, I haven't even seen it. So absolutely reach back out. Just be very mindful of the language that you're using. So it would be, I understand that you're very busy. I really appreciate you looking at this note. Please let me know if we can connect over the course of the next month. The thing that I will say, because this is a great question, is that when you ask for specific times, so for instance, I had someone reach out to me 2 days ago, and he said, hey, Briar, would you mind looking at, and someone I know in my network, would you mind looking at this new app that I developed? And it's specific to my niche and my market. And it's like an ATS type scanner. And I already use a platform for our clients that we scan against the ATS, so we know our resumes are really working and market relevant. But he said, I have this new app I've been developing, and I've worked with him for years as a client, and now he's coming to me for this. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And so he messaged me on Tuesday saying, well, great, can we do it Wednesday night? For me, that turnaround is non-existent. I just sometimes don't have that availability, and anything that's after hours for me means that it cuts into family time. So I'm going to be hyper protective of that time. So for him, it's a little bit of a fail. So I would have rather he reached out and said, hey, if you have time over the course of, the next month or in June at some point, would you mind hopping on the phone? I'd probably look at sooner rather than later, because he gave me that privilege. Let's see. Organization. I'm just going to read this. There's an organization that I aspire to work for, and I got connected with some of the employees there. The problem is I want to seize this opportunity, getting to know them, but I don't know how. What shall I say to them so that they would know, and hopefully this may lead to getting a job offer for them? Okay, this is great, 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 great. So the reason that I was saying in the beginning is the three areas. You know, you're looking for clients, you're looking for a job, and then you're just looking to connect with industry professionals. This is the key piece. If you start now trying to connect in the long run and the long game, you're going to have those connections to tap. So like I have connections at Facebook, I have connections at eBay, Amazon, Coca-Cola. I have them in Europe as well as the United States. And I utilize those connections in those network very, very privately, right? So I don't just give them to anybody. I have to know that there's a fit before I go and give them. Additionally, I need to know that you have all of your stuff together. And so what I would do for you is say, okay, if I'm looking for the job now and I haven't built that network connection, I would be forthright in my ask, right? So know your ask. What is the ask? You want to work there. So the piece that you need to know, because you might just be looking at the company because it sounds good. You want to know about the organization. So why not tap that resource, tap those connections to say that to them is, I am interested in the potential of working with your organization. Would you mind giving me 5 minutes or even answering a couple of my questions about your team or about your role or about, you know, if you could change something within the organization, what would it be? Because you're starting a relationship there. It's not transactional. It's you getting to know them. People are always, always going to be open to talking about themselves. So if you start with getting them to talk about themselves, their journey, their mission, their, you know, how they got here, their whole career path to this point and how they enjoy it or don't enjoy it, first, you're getting really great information from them. You can make a much more informed decision knowing about how they like the company and what's wrong with it or how amazing it is, right? Because you can tap that if you were to get interviewed. You can say, well, I've done my research. I've spoken to employees. Everybody loves the culture here. Everybody's really in tune with collaborating. I know how deeply that's respected here. You have insider information, okay? So that would be what I do immediately to start to get to know them and expedite that process. Okay, so another one, I'm a few years into my career, but really want to pivot industries, but I'm not sure how to position myself and skills when connecting with someone in a different industry to seem compelling or worth talking to. Okay, this I'm gonna call imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome's awful, oh my goodness. There's so many people on this call and in the world that have amazing skills, amazing, and real world experience, whether it's even, I have master's students that graduate and have not actually held a job, but during their program, they led the students. They, you know, were the kind of teacher's pet in a really great way where they got a lot of accolades just through being that person, that key point person. So realize that it doesn't have to translate perfectly over. In some roles, I'll say, like, if you're going to be a doctor, well, you need the degree and you need to have done your residency and all of those things. I can't get you around that. However, if it's something less technical than that, then it's looking at those pivot points. So for me, and I hope this answers the question and you get to look inside yourself and your skills and your experiences to find that answer. But for me, my roles, if you were to kind of take all my cumulative years, I was a general manager at the age of 20 for a health and fitness club, Crunch Fitness, New York City, Soho location. It's not there anymore. It was when I was younger. I ran that facility. Then I ended up at Saks Fifth Avenue. They have a salon and spa in their basement. It's a 10,000 square foot facility. I took over as general manager there. I grew into an area director, then a regional director for the entire Northeast. I have P&L experience. I have all of this stuff, but if I were to be talking to you as a coach and, you know, my relevancy in the market, I'm not going to talk about those things. I'll say I've had a great corporate career because it's relevant for, say, an executive I'm working with, right? They want to know I've actually done it and I understand what I'm talking about from a hands-on experience. But as a coach, I talk about growing my people, my staff, my clients, my business owners, because eventually when I left Saks, I started working for an organization that helped coach business owners on how to expand their businesses. And so I would talk about those coaching pieces. How have I leveraged my expertise to coach people, guide, influence, support them, hold them accountable? Those are the key pivot points for me. And that's the transferable skill set I have to coaching. So if you think about it this way, what have you learned? So if it's digital marketing, it's not just that you're doing digital marketing, it's strategy development, it's working with stakeholders, it's, you know, managing a team. It might be not you managing the team, but if something is dependent on you in order to roll something out, well, then you're a part of that process. Look at what that impact is on the business as a whole to reverse engineer what that skill set and the transferability is for you. I hope that answers that. Did I miss any? What are your thoughts on tagging people in posts that might have an interesting point of view? I'm a 50-50 on this. So if you know the connection piece, then I would absolutely tag somebody. If you don't know them and you don't know how they're going to react, I wouldn't tag anybody. I'm a big fan though of, and that's a great point, thank you. On LinkedIn, if you use hashtags on your posts, it will actually build out who gets to view it. So say you only have 200 connections. You just graduated college, you just learned about LinkedIn, you just got online, and you're like, all right, well, where do I go from here? If you have some thought leadership that you want to present, like this is what's happening, or this is, you know, the millennial point of view, or whatever you want, as long as to your brand, what you're positioning, know your story, you can put hashtags onto those posts so that it gets out there. So like if I do a post and it's for job seekers, I'm putting job seekers, I'm putting resume tips or resume writing or resume workshop, I'm putting branding or personal branding, whatever that niche is that I'm talking about, I want to get my message out there. And that actually creates more connections. So I'll tell you, I had a post, and I know we're coming up on time, so I'm going to be very mindful of like 4 more minutes. So I had someone else in my industry, so career and you know, professional development, posted a great post, and it was about jobs and like how to network online. And so I commented on her comment. So someone had commented, I replied to the comment, liked hers and replied. And I got like 68 likes on my comment. And within 2 hours, I had 25 new connections because they wanted to follow what I was talking about. They wanted to learn more from me. And this is not a shout out for me whatsoever. This is the algorithm that works, is when you know your message and you're able to tap into that, you're actually going to gain momentum from other people that may not actually be in your network now or have thought to be in your network before. Let me see. Any others? I just want to make sure I got all of them. Okay. We've got about 5 minutes. That's what we're getting called. Okay. I don't see any other questions. So what I will say is, when you get the deck that we're providing, I want you to think about it from your perspective, but I also want you to think about it from who you're going to connect with. So it's interesting when I have an executive assistant who helps me manage my inboxes and just kind of make sure that it's my accountability coach is kind of what I call her. So I'm very purposeful in how we correspond with our clients. And the fun part here is that when you are connecting and you're starting to introduce yourself to people, that ask, so for her, I told her, when you're connecting with my clients or potential clients, you need to introduce yourself. Like, who are you? What are you doing? Where do you belong in the organization? And I want you to think about it from that perspective, because you'll see you can actually go on LinkedIn and see if someone has their contact information. And so if someone has their contact information that you can view, you could actually send them an email directly and kind of bypass the LinkedIn. I would definitely say to connect with them on LinkedIn first, see if that goes through, and then connect and say, I've just connected with you on LinkedIn. I'm X, Y, and Z. So like, where am I? I'm a recent graduate, or I'm a transitioning professional. I'm transitioning from sales to marketing from this industry. I've seen you have a similar career trajectory and would love 5 minutes of your time, if you have that, over the course of June, to connect. Here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me whenever. I love your story. Like, for me, if I got messages like that, I'd feel good, first of all, right? It kind of strokes your ego a little bit, but additionally, it's very personal. So the no sales pitch is true. I wish I could have included more examples of the things, the funny messages that I get. I included the shorter versions of them, but I get messages that are literally about 5 paragraphs long, with a video, with a let's book a call now. When you go to market, and I know you're not selling something, but even when you're connecting with someone, make sure it sounds like how you would want to be introduced. So put yourself in that person's shoes, put yourself in the viewpoint that they don't have a lot of time. They need to get the content from you very quickly and be able to make that decision within a few seconds. Awesome. Any other questions? Because I know we've got 3 minutes. If not, I will say I'm going to also put a link in our deck to a kind of post-networking little cheat sheet. As I said, we're launching this new group coaching and community online actually this month, which I'm really excited about. It's been like 3 years in development. Just so happens that we're in COVID and it would work well for people. But I'm going to include a link to an additional page from that actual website that we're rolling out, so that you guys get some additional tips and tricks. So definitely check out that deck once we send that out. I think AMA New York is sending it out either tonight or tomorrow, or at least sometime this week, with the recording as well. So you'll be able to go back through this. And then you can always hit us up on hello@CareerOrganic, which is my team's email address, and they kind of filter that through to me. And additionally, if you want additional like videos, little tidbits, I have videos on like metrics and how to brand yourself a little better, and additional networking pieces and those follow buttons. You can follow us at Career Organic, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. It's going out tomorrow. Perfect. Thank you, Ruth. And then, would you suggest using an Excel sheet or tracker to keep track of when to reach out to people? It's like forcing yourself to network, although I'm not opposed to it. I love that. I love that. So I typically use Google. So if you guys use a Google Calendar, I would typically put a reminder on Google. If you want an extra spreadsheet, I just know spreadsheets for me, whew, I get lost. My team's always sending me like a Google Sheet or a Google Doc, and I'm like, where did it go in my shared drive? It's horrendous. If you guys are not in that problem, then absolutely a spreadsheet on a date. I would definitely wait a week in order to do that. And then if not, put a little reminder on your Google Calendar to say, hey, reach back out to this person. We need to leave and go to the main session. So we'll go back there, and then any additional questions, as I said, I'm going to provide that information, that if you had additional questions on this piece, you'll have it within the document that we're sending out. I hope this was helpful for everybody, and I really enjoyed the time, and great questions. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if you sent me a private message and I read it out loud. However, great pertinent questions.